The next step in getting ready to draft a set of slopers is to record your measurements. In my last video, I showed you in general how you utilize either the dress form or a person in order to take the measurements. This is covered in Chapter 2 in your textbook. Right here I'm on page 33 in Chapter 2. And again, the diagrams are referring to measurements that you will be taking. And the placement of the measurements are a number according to the listings for that particular location on the dress form or the body. So it'll walk you through each of these measurements. So bust measurement is the circumference all the way around at the bust level. That will be number 1. Waist is number 2, abdomen is number 3 and 4, so on. And let's go here to the next page as it moves on down through the locations of the body. The numbers may jump around a little bit, and the diagrams will show, though, those distances either from center front on the dress form to locations out to the side. You are only dealing with the front half of the body and or in this case the back half of the body, recording those separately for front and back in location number 14. Here it is also showing those indicators on a human form as well. So as you take these measurements, on page 40, this is the end of, I'm sorry, not that number, 36 is the page number that has the grid where you could begin recording the measurements that you're taking according to the bodice that you want to draft. And you will see right here the numbers. Bust was number 1, waist was number 2, abdomen was number 3, and hip was number 4. Please note these are the actual measurements of either the body or the dress form. No ease is included. Those measurements will be included as you draft the pattern, so there will be a slight ease incorporated into your basic sloper. And just make sure that you get all of these measurements recorded prior to trying to draft your bodice. You don't want to be trying to go back and forth from measuring the dress form, reading the directions for drafting the sloper, and then trying to draft it in Illustrator. You need all these measurements in place first. All right, so going on to then Chapter 3, which brings us into drafting the bodice, and we'll start with the front bodice. What you're going to want to do then with those measurements from that chart is to figure up all of these answers here. Again, you don't, it's very slow if you try and figure these up and look them up and do all this as you go. It's great if you've got these measurements in here. Then you can just focus on using those tools in Illustrator in order to set the guidelines to then draw your bodice sloper shape. So A to B will use your full length, which is number 6 from the chart listing, plus 1/8. So let's go back to the chart listing real quick. And we're going to look at number 6. So here, number 6, full length, and I want to be in highlighting mode, and I'm going to be on the front. No, it's adding too many. I don't want fast highlight. So front 6, and let's say if you were doing a size 8. There is the other highlight. So you can see for 6 in a certain size, or whichever size you might be doing measurements, you might be doing 7¼ inches. So now let's go back to page 40, and in here, oops, you would have 7¼ inches plus 1/8, and you would fill that in. Now in Illustrator, you actually do need to change your fractions to decimal points. It would be a good idea to go through with the calculator and get your decimal points, make a little hand chart for yourself For an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch, we know that's 0.25. 3/8, which is 0.375. Just divide the numerator by the denominator in these fractions. And get all those ready and written in here. Well, your book is electronic, so make sure you just jot them down according to each stage of your directions. In my next video, I will show you how you can begin to plot out these guidelines in Illustrator. Right now, in the book, it's showing you in gray how those guidelines will reference to the bodice. Don't worry, we're not trying to draw the bodice yet. We will draw the bodice once we have all our guidelines in place. So we will start with this, figure 1. All of these steps relate to the points that you're laying down for that. Figure 2, as you can see, additional points and guidelines are added. Then as you move on to the next page, 41, figure 3 is the newest set of guidelines and points. All the others are still in place, they're just not highlighted in the blue anymore. And then here, figure 4 and figure 5 begin having us actually draw in shapes, shaping our neck and our armhole and using our other guidelines and points in order to draw the bodice shape. So I'll walk you through setting some of those guidelines in Illustrator and then drawing the bodice. We'll do that in our next video.